Well, have you ever wondered why people cheat? Maybe you're still reeling from the aftermath of an affair and want to know if there's any hope to recover your marriage. Well, Keith Battle is here to help you understand the why behind unfaithfulness in his book, Side Psychology, When Men and Women Cheat and Why God Still Wants to Heal Broken Relationships. If you're enjoying Table Talk, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Remember to click that notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest posts. Well, if you don't know, cheating is shockingly common in today's culture, with more than half of men and women admitting that they've committed an act of infidelity during a relationship. The question is, why? Why do people, including Christians, find themselves committing acts that they never thought were possible? Well, today's guest is here to share more, but before we get to that, join me around the table is my husband, Dr. Doug Weiss, who happens to be a psychologist, and this is a subject you deal with quite often and have with over 30 years.
Yes, ma'am. I'm happy to be here at Joni Table Talk.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for your insight.
Thank you.
You seem so far away.
It won't last, baby. It won't last.
Okay. That's why we kept him over there, because I would get distracted. Dorothy, you take care of him over there, okay?
I will. Just keep you cool.
Okay.
Are you uncomfortable yet, Dorothy?
He's okay, huh? So, now, I mean, this is something that you've talked about, you've written about, that you experienced.
Absolutely.
And it was very traumatic in your life.
Very traumatic. And you know what? You can never not learn enough. You know, there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom at the table, and it's going to be an exciting show.
Yeah. Anna Kendall, this is something you've talked about as well before you came to know the Lord.
That's right. That's right.
You were married and
I was unfaithful.
And God healed your marriage?
He healed the marriage. He
and now,
healed
how
me.
many years later?
Well, we're about to experience our 60th wedding anniversary.
Can you believe
So I've
that?
been married longer than most of you have been alive.
One of us.
That's true, one of you. Maybe two.
That's so neat. I love that. I love that. That would be me. But anyway, let's go on. Kendra Kelly Dean, how are you?
I'm great. This is fun having him on the show.
I know. It will be fun. You know
I was
that.
very relieved. I looked at the show notes and I was like, ooh. And they said, oh, no, Dr. Doug's coming. I was like, oh, good. He can ask that question.
And you know he probably will.
Oh, he will. And
For
it's
sure.
great. That's why he's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah,
it's going to
Cindy
be great.
Murdoch, this is important. I mean, something you experienced
wow.
early on.
It is very important, and it's sad that sometimes it's not restored because of infidelity, and the ripple effect that goes on through life, it just there is no stopping of the ripple effect that infidelity can have on a family.
I know that
and
you're a
people.
person who tried to save your marriage.
Yes.
And we'll talk about you know decisions that people make, but I will say the end of your story is you remarried.
I remarried
Been married-
a handsome prince.
And you've been married now for
will be 17 years.
17
May.
years.
That is
That's amazing.
unbelievable.
So I don't know
Goodness.
what your story is. I don't know where you are, you know, the barometer here today, but I want you to stay tuned and listen, because I really believe that it can help you and be a blessing. Well, he's a pastor, entrepreneur, and today he's here to share insights from his book, Side Psychology, Why Men and Women Cheat. Please welcome Pastor Keith Battle. Oh, I like that music. Well,
Yeah.
like swelling there.
Nice.
Welcome.
This seat is hot.
I'm telling you, it's hot. But you got on the right color for the table.
I know. I feel really connected.
Right. We're so glad you're here today.
Thanks for
Well, you
having
know, the number of men and women who admit to committing infidelity is on the rise, even among believers. And what can we do to protect ourselves and our spouses from becoming another statistic? Keith Battle is author of Side Psychology. Of course, he's here to help us understand the why behind infidelity and how to find healing if you've already experienced it. So, Pastor, tell us a little bit about why you wrote this book, and is there anything personal attached to it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My own personal experience with crossing a line. And I want to clarify, there are levels of infidelity. And I think people don't include themselves in the category of being unfaithful.
So, I mean, like emotional?
Absolutely. Verbal. Anything you can't do in front of your spouse, anything you're hiding is cheating. If it's on your phone, you're cheating. right? So to me, there are levels of infidelity long before there's intercourse.
Yeah. Of course,
And-
we've got, Dr. Doug Weiss.
Know him, yes.
Well, and of course, I know you have helped thousands of couples. What are some of the early signs that really like cross the line, kind of those hidden things?
Let me talk about two
Okay.
that are proactive and then those that are more withholding, okay? Because the withholder is creating an environment as well. Okay, so you have the person who's, going online or going on Facebook, having inappropriate conversations, flirting with the waitresses, the coffee barista. Those are real obvious, like, hey, they're contributing to a future demise and a future infidelity. As well is the man or woman who's not initiating romance, not making them feel like a king and queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
They are so much sowing the same seeds of infidelity
Yes.
as the person who is actively doing what we would call stupid things.
Yeah.
Okay? Because a woman in the scripture says a foolish woman tears down her own house.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's both and, isn't it, Pastor Keith?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, so one of the
well
things you
said.
talk about, Pastor, in your book is that you have met with so many couples, even since you and your wife went through what you went through, like over 12 years ago. You've helped so many couples as a result, even of what you went through. And one of the things that you noticed early on is there are certain things you can look for that tell you, okay, this could be trouble. We don't think so much about like the things that we did when we were dating or when we were falling in love and the time that we took for one another and how some of that stops after marriage, right?
Absolutely. It's like we hit a finish line, and when they finish throwing the rice and the engagement is over, we kind of, for a man, that's another accomplishment. I got my wife, I got my career, now I want to start my business, now I want to get in shape. But the
Want
level
to
of
start the
focus,
family?
Yeah, I want to start a family,
Yeah.
which kids can be a huge weight on a marriage.
Sure.
Yeah.
People think I don't like children. It's not I don't like them. I know how they impact marriages.
Yeah.
Because you can't get somebody to mother your child or father your child. You have to be that for the child. And the child won't survive without your love and energy.
And that's important, right?
Absolutely.
But if your marriage suffers as a result of you giving all of that to the child instead of your spouse, then you're going to have somebody looking in other direction.
You have somebody looking in other directions and they feel guilty about it because they're like, why are you acting like that? I'm too tired, right? But his needs are still there, her needs are still there. But, most people who act out want to have those relationships within the marriage. People don't get married to be unfaithful. People get married because they expect this relationship to be the context in which their emotional and physical and sexual needs are met. And what happens, as Dr. Doug just said, when people don't prioritize it and withdraw it, they set the person up to be in a vulnerable position.
And you think about even people in ministry or ministers are kind of held like to a higher standard, but they're also kind of idolized at times, and that door can open for women in the congregation or vice versa. But you talk about a relational ADD. What is that?
Yeah, so, with all due respect for mental health, attention deficit disorder is a real thing.
Right.
I call it relational ADD because there's a deficit of attention in the relationship. And it causes a relationship to suffer and to atrophy, and people need intervention. And you have to make it systemic, first of all. Like we gotta make sure we're doing things on a regular basis, like dating, like the 3 dailies that you taught us, like affirming each other, making it a regular part of the relationship, sexual intimacy. But it has to be done in a way that the person really feels like this is where I wanna be. I enjoy these times with you. And when that stuff starts becoming less and less prioritized, there's an attention deficit. And when you say about church leaders or business leaders, there's always somebody in the organization that's willing to do what the wife or the husband is not willing to do.
Yeah.
So true. Now, I know, Anna, you and Fred have worked with couples for years as well. Does this sound familiar?
Oh, it does. And one of the things that Doug said, when one spouse withdraws and the other one is not getting attention, often what happens is somebody else starts making that spouse feel better about himself or herself than the mate does.
Absolutely.
Let's say the mate is withdrawing and someone now makes you just feel so good about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's when you are so vulnerable to enter in, I think.
What are some of the early signs, like when couples come in? You said I can just about always tell if there's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I want to go back to that point she just made because here's another strange thing, and I don't know if you agree with this, Dr. Doug. sometimes the affair allows the marriage to last longer
That's true.
because now
Things
the person
get
has an
revealed.
outlet that allows them to survive this boring marriage.
Yes.
Okay.
So they go over here and get their fix, and they have this relationship, and they turn the marriage into a business. So we watch the kids together. We keep it functioning, but they get high somewhere else with someone else. And I think that's another point. You'd be surprised at how many marriages are coexisting with this other world going on at the same time.
Yeah, well, what happens to the brain when you break covenant? What
Well,
happens?
once you start neurologically attaching to two different men or two different women, the scripture talks about a double-minded man being unstable in all his ways.
Yes.
The finances get out of control. Your time management gets out of control. You don't feel like you're growing in your life's calling. A lot of things can happen. And I think that, sometimes when it crashes, when the fantasy crashes, that's when God can do resurrection life. That's when they have to reevaluate, who am I in the marriage? And what happens is when we get married, they pronounce you as husband and wife, and he goes into his role. I got to provide you money, and I got to clean it. I got this, and then we measure ourselves by a role instead of our relationship.
Yeah, that's so good.
That's so good. And then the relationship starts to fail.
What are the dailies? Like you mentioned dailies. People are like, what are you talking about? What dailies? This is something we started doing when we were dating.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is really, really important. It sounds so simple.
Why don't you explain it? You've been doing it every day.
We
Two
do
feelings.
Two feelings. And then we do, and they can't be about each other.
Right.
Yes.
Like, I felt really rested today when I woke up because I got plenty of sleep, or I felt very frustrated at something that happened at work, or it's just a feeling you have, and it evokes conversation. And then you do two appreciations about that person. And then what we do
We pray.
is we both pray, and then we read a chapter of the Bible
Scripture, yep.
every day, because the Word of God is powerful in covenant, right?
Yeah.
And there, it's not just a husband and wife. It's what is marriage? It's a husband and wife and another person.
It's God, a husband and a wife. God creates marriage, and God sustains it. But if we have the disciplines of intimacy, we get the results of intimacy. If we forfeit those disciplines of intimacy, you know this, you've seen couples, they've forsaken the disciplines of intimacy, and they wonder how they fell out of love. They fell out of discipline. They never fell out of love.
That's good.
Yeah.
I've worked with thousands of couples. You didn't fall out of love, you wouldn't be in my office.
Right.
What you fell out of was discipline. What you have is a lazy relationship that fell.
That's good.
Wow.
Okay,
That's
so now,
good.
now
That's
let's get
good.
it back in order. And
Yeah.
I've seen thousands of couples restored.
Yeah.
And they're better.
Yes,
Because
we
now
have
they
to.
have the disciplines to sustain
Right.
the
Better on the other
walk.
side of
Yeah.
it. I was
Yeah.
going to say, as you're sitting here, you're in a good marriage.
Yes.
You both pastor church,
Yeah.
got two girls.
Yeah.
But does this kind of even invigorate you to the point that, hey, I really need to pay attention to Dusty?
Oh, absolutely.
And I need to, not let
Yes.
the things of this world and the church and business and
Yeah,
busy take away
because-
from our relationship. Because I remember when y'all were dating, you were all Google-eyed about that boy. I mean, talking about him.
And that's the thing. And we have these conversations regularly, which I think is important to have. But we remind ourselves, hey, the kids are going to grow up one day. And it's just going to be me and you, boo. And you talk about something in your book that I think is so good. And it's the man cave theory.
Oh, boy.
And I was reading that, I was like, what? This makes
That's the
so much
secret.
sense. Will you talk about that
Ooh,
and what
you're
can
gonna
happen?
get me in trouble. No, you're right. So when a man can't escape in the relationship and he doesn't feel safe, he creates a space in the house. And it's a place where he can go. He's not judged. He can watch football, he plays video games, whatever he's doing down there. But it becomes the place of a lot of dark secrets. Because it's a place where he begins to act out too. I'm not saying every man, but the man cave has a lot of secrets, and it's a place where a lot of dark things happen. But it's an attempt to escape the disappointment of the relationship.
Oh, wow. How would you respond to that, Doug?
Well, I think women do it too. The children, volunteering, the house being excessively
Church
clean.
responsibilities.
Shopping. They have ways to escape when their emotional needs are not being met. Because women are aroused by emotional proximity. If a man's not sharing his feelings, not sharing his dreams, he's not trusting you with what's going on with him, then you start feeling different, don't you?
Yeah.
And then so you talk to your girlfriends, and you're on the phone, and you're on social media. That's
true.
And so
That's it.
It's true.
we have a location. They do it differently.
Yeah.
But those are
That's so
symptoms of we're in pain.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But either of those can be from the need to withdraw, and maybe sometimes withdrawing is punishment.
Yeah, if I'm withdrawing from you, I'm intentionally avoiding you. I might be hurting you and like letting you know that I'm hurting.
You know, one of the things that we learned long ago, which I know you all know, but the 3 of the symptoms of a marriage that's in trouble is criticalness, contemptuousness, and withdrawal. And when it's contemptuousness, criticism is, I don't like what you're doing. Contemptuousness is, I don't like you. And then the withdrawal. And so all kinds of problems come in from there. So I could see the man cave or the woman shopping and girlfriends, it's a means of withdrawing.
Well, you know, Dorothy, you experienced infidelity and actually tried to work through your marriage. But if you have a spouse at that point in time that's not willing to repent or to change, you really had no choice, right?
Right.
So talk a little bit about that, because there's a lot of people watching that.
A lot of trauma with this.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Dorothy.
Yes. You know, I was in an abusive marriage, physically, mentally, emotionally. And, you know, it's sad to say, but I tried. I stayed in it.
And he
you know,
was a
hoping for
professional
change.
football player.
Professional football player during the 3 Super Bowl wins with the Dallas Cowboys. So anybody that knows sports, that's the height of your career. You know, and I chose not to broadcast my husband's sins at that time, thinking about him while I suffered in silence. And so it was a very traumatic experience. But, you know, I've learned, sitting at this table, I've learned so much. And especially, and it's like I continue to learn. But I believe that a lot of times people forget about the little things like, you know, can I have the passcode for your phone? You know, can I see, you know, this, or can I see the bank account? Or it's just the little things that, you know, it's easy to overlook because you're in love and, you know, you don't share as much as
Those are really
you
big
should.
things,
Those
aren't
are
they?
big things. So 2 things on that. One is what you protect is what you love.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so if the phone is more important than the spouse, then we got a problem. Okay? The bank account. But the other thing, Dorothy, is that partner betrayal trauma is real. I've done a lot of research on this. The PTSD symptoms are real. The depression symptoms are real. The hero-ness of a man or woman taking that bullet out who was shot by their spouse and embracing them at the same time is one of the most courageous things I've ever seen in my life. You know, and for those that are out there, you know, we know that they're in pain. There's millions of men and women who go through this, and they go through it quietly instead of sharing it with their pastors or counselors or moving and getting help.
Do you think that healing started coming for you when you were able to shed the light on it and talk about it and allow your heart to heal? Is that important?
Yeah, so many men and women, this happens and no one knows.
Yeah.
And that is, we do not heal in that way. It says, confess your faults one to another so you can be healed. That doesn't have to be your fault, okay? But you got to confess what's going on to be healed. Now, you don't have to go tell everybody, and don't go on Facebook. And
Tell every detail, yes.
Right, but go to, at Heart to Heart, we deal with this every day, okay? There's counseling centers all over the country. There's pastors who goes to somebody and say, hey, this has happened, what do we need to do? And then get Chickology. That's a great book to say, hey, what we need to do to move forward, you know, and stuff like that.
And when you keep it in, you deny yourself from being the person that God called you to be. And
good, Dorothy.
it's been so many years that I suffered and didn't tell. 14 years of marriage, and then 8 years before I even received professional counseling.
And of course, he went through his own kind of valley, if you will, and crushing, if you will, and is now serving God.
Yes.
Even though you're not married to him, y'all have a
But it's still
chemical
a soul
relationship.
saved. It's still a relationship that my 2 young adult kids can have with their father. You know, it's a beautiful
God
story
heals.
of redemption. And even though, you know, the pain and everything that I suffered, you know, I'm so happy that he knows the Lord now. You know, so.
But you know, we don't have a storybook ending for every marriage. I'm sure you don't, everyone that comes in. Talk about some of the ones that have made it through and they both were willing to work, and then talk about the ones that aren't, because then we have both categories that are watching right now.
Well, I think, first of all, it's good that it comes out. Things don't heal well in the dark, right? And I call it the blessing of getting caught. Because most people who are in an unfaithful relationship, 95% of people will not admit it even when they're confronted about it.
Yeah,
they have to
that's
get caught. It's like the woman in John chapter 8. She was blessed to get caught. They never brought the man, but getting caught brought her to Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you
So
come to
true.
him,
Come on.
that's where the healing
Yes,
starts,
yes.
right? And
That's so
so
good.
people have to
Amen.
get caught, and they have to go through the exposure and the shame, and then the recovery work. And I've seen it heal marriages because it actually blows up the bad one. And now you have nothing left to do, but either we're going to end this or we're going to rebuild it the right way.
Right.
That's
We're
good.
going to prioritize each other. My wife even said she was grateful for the other woman, like because it made her
Woke her up.
play her game, like step up, because there were things that we were bereft of in the relationship.
Yeah.
Now, when you attach yourself emotionally to another human being, that's not easy to break from. And people that refuse to totally come clean.
Right.
You got to be able to, have these conversations where the wife is able to communicate. You know all the details. There's total confession and openness. When people don't bring that exposure, you don't need to know all that. You don't need to know what's going on. I left it alone. Don't worry about it. People who are not willing to be accountable typically don't experience restoration. The lack of accountability. Like you said, can I see your phone? Like,
Well, like I say-
how come you keep bringing it up? Because they don't understand that anything can trigger you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you
Everything-
say to that?
I would say, well, my solution is, can you take a polygraph?
Yes.
That'll do it.
Because then we
Yes.
get, because like when we do intensives at the counseling center, we do that on Monday because 90% of the guys are lying, even though they flew in to get counseling.
Yeah.
Now that they're honest, now we can work it. And we're
Yeah.
not talking about details. We're talking about just the basic information
Yeah.
and making sure there's been a break in contact. There's been a break in a relationship so that the wife this gives her an objective way to retrust again.
That's what I was going to
Yes, sir.
say. How do you rebuild trust if you're not willing to tell the details and to give the passwords?
Well,
And
the same
all of that
selfish person
stuff?
who commits adultery is the selfish person who will let the spouse suffer without information and in pain. Okay, it's
That's
the same
abuse.
selfish person.
Yeah.
That's
So
abuse.
that's why we do a polygraph, is to break that. And it's like, okay, you're going to lay down your life now for the one you say you love.
Yeah.
And when you do, boom. then
Well,
you
and
can start
that
to heal.
gives her a confidence with the polygraph that he's sharing, you're finding out everything that he's not sharing, and that you can start with a clean slate.
Well, you can know the real numbers and you can know the last time. Okay, that really helps a lot of ladies because a lot of guys, if they get caught, like you said, they get caught on one, but there's been 12.
Yeah.
And she knows that she knows that she knows that
she
there's
knows.
more.
Yeah.
And he's stonewalling her, and she can't rebuild trust because her knower is telling her there's no
There's
way,
more
it's
to
just
this
one.
story.
Right?
And
as
when
soon
a
as she knows
person
it's
wants
free.
to when a person is asking for information, they only looking for two things. When somebody wants to check your phone, they're looking for two things.
Yeah.
They want to know, are you being faithful or are you cheating? They need to know, I have to know this. I have to check. If you're being faithful, okay, we can keep fighting. If you're cheating, I knew it all. Anyway, they're only looking for so if you're clean, you should be willing to expose it.
That's good. Good. Well, all this is so good. I want you to stay right there. We'll be back with more from Pastor Keith Battle in just a few moments.
Imagine facing a storm so vast, it threatens to engulf everything you've built. Would you falter, or would you find strength you never knew you had?
When a hurricane is tearing through your life, Jesus is the peace that stills the waters of your soul.
This is a tale of navigating life's fiercest tempests and discovering that sometimes the most profound truths are born in the heart of the storm. Get your copy now at daystar.com/shop.
Well, in my book, I share some of the stories I've never shared publicly about just what me and my late husband went through. And again, that was like 15 years ago, and how God brought us through. And it's really, hopefully, will encourage you, because I know a lot of you sitting there watching, you're like, you think all the people around the table are perfect, they hadn't been through anything. It's simply not true. That's why Pastor Keith Battle is here to discuss his book, Side Chickology, Why Men and Women Cheat, Understanding, Avoiding, and Recovering from Infidelity. Thank you again, Pastor, for joining us. What would you say to all these different groups of people to encourage them today?
I would say that it's not going to be worth it. The cost is greater than you can imagine. If you could see yourself on the other side, and take it from me, we're still paying for it. I still pay the consequences of of infidelity. It's still a cost you pay, even in your own soul, your shame. What it promises is not what it offers and delivers. And I would say, you know, bring it to the attention of a counselor or a therapist or somebody who can help you figure out how to get your needs met in appropriate ways. One of the things I figured out is that it wasn't even my wife that I needed community. Like, as a pastor, I was so separated from community. I just needed some friends that I could play Monopoly with, watch games with. I need companionship. I'm an extrovert. And so my wife's tremendously introverted. So you got to find out how to meet your needs in healthy ways, because it's not worth the consequences to go down that road. And it will not end good.
It will not.
It will not end good.
And
I promise
even with
you.
everything you went through and with God intervening and you both getting the help you needed, would you say you guys are better on the other side
Oh,
of it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's far better now.
Yeah.
But we have to do the work.
Yeah.
It can go back to right where it was.
Yeah.
I am capable of doing, see, whenever you do the wrong thing to meet a need, it remains on the menu of options the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you know, I found that just listen to the other spouse. If you will listen, you will hear what the needs are.
Yeah.
You will know what makes them tick. If we'll just take the time to really intentionally listen.
Well, that's investing.
And obey.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So even if I understand you and I hear you, will I step into that space and try to be what you need with God's help?
Yeah.
Because some people even heard it, like, I hear what you're saying, but it's not my responsibility.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Well, we are out of time. I want you to remember that God is the one who created marriage and designed it to be, of course, a life-giving covenant that enriches every area of your life. And you may have made mistakes. You may have stopped investing in your marriage, your spouse, or even cheated on your spouse. But I want you to know something today. God is the great Redeemer, and He can lead you and your spouse into full restoration. And Doug, the most important decision anybody can make today is to invite Jesus in.
Absolutely.
That's pretty easy, right?
Absolutely. If you don't know Jesus Christ, He wants to know you. He wants that intimacy, and that might be the intimacy you're actually lacking. It's real simple. Just call out to Him. Say this prayer with me. Say, Jesus, forgive me of my sins.
Forgive me my sins.
Come live in my heart.
Come live in my heart.
Take control of my life.
Take control of my life.
Fill me with your Spirit.
Fill me with your Spirit.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name. Well, that is really the foundation of what's going to help heal your marriage today, is that you have a personal relationship with God. That's the very beginning and the start. I can tell you, if you're willing to open your heart to God today, then He can do anything. I promise you, both these men have seen incredible miracles take place with the most desperate situations that you can imagine. If you're watching today and you say, you know what, I just need prayer today for my marriage, or I'm going to listen to some of the advice that you gave, I'm going to get some help. Well, again, that number's on the screen, and our prayer partners are standing by ready to pray with you. And it's our honor, our privilege to pray with you. So if you prayed that prayer, call us and let us know. We want to send you the Gospel of John. That's just our gift to you. It's one of the most important Gospels in the Bible, and it's a good place to start if you don't have a Bible. So call us. We'll send that to you. I want to thank Pastor Keith for joining us today. Be sure to pick up a copy of his book. It's called Side Chickology: Why Men and Women Cheat, Understanding, Avoiding, and Recovering from Infidelity. It's a tough subject, important subject. We need to talk about more. It's available, and for more information, you can visit him online at zionchurch.org. As always, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. You can leave us a comment. Let us know how Table Talk is touching your life. We always love hearing from you. And you want to make sure you subscribe to the Joni Table Talk podcast. It's available right now across all the top podcast apps. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Pastor Keith. Will you come back and keep us up to date on everything going on in Washington, D.C., where your church is? Doug tells me you're a good preacher, right?
Oh, he can preach the word.
Okay, I love that. That's the kind of church you need to be in. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, ladies. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for today.